All right, guys, I'm going to answer a very important question that's on a lot of your minds. And that question is, should I invest in Canadian real estate? Should I be putting my money into property in Canada and investing in the Canadian real estate market? So it's a question that's been on a lot of people's minds with these record gains in real estate and just seeing the exponential rise of Canadian home prices. And so a lot of people are feeling inclined to jump into the game and get exposure to this asset class that is just making unreal gains. So I'm going to give you guys the hard answer that it might be hard for some of you to hear. And the answer is no. I do not think you should invest in Canadian real estate. And there's a lot of reasons for that I'll be covering in this video. So I hope you stick around till the end, because if you are in making an investment with so much money, such a large investment like that, it's the biggest choice you'll ever make in your life. So it's important that you look at all the factors when deciding if that is a good move for you. So one thing I like to look at when I'm about to make an investment is, what am I investing in? What is the underlying asset, and what are all the things that have to do with that asset? Is it something I believe in? Is it something I believe is going to serve me and something I can get behind? So, a lot of people, when they invest, they're strictly looking at gains. They want to know, how much money can I make? And sure, that's one way to invest. But that's how we end up in these situations of all these corrupt corporations that have all kinds of money and that are running the world, where people don't look at the underlying companies or ideas that they're investing in, and they're strictly focused on profit. So if that's you, this video probably isn't for you. You go ahead and stick to your ideas of just strictly making money and your greed and that's how you're approaching this. I approach it in, what am I investing in? And Canadian real estate is not something I want to invest in at the moment. The Canadian government has made it very clear that they are a totalitarian state at the moment. They have no regard for human life, for our Charter of Rights, our rights and freedoms, and they are basically an empire that is built on lies and deceit and money that is counterfeit out of thin air. So if you don't understand that, you can look at some of my other videos and start to educate yourself on what money is and how these governments are using it to manipulate us. But really what's happening is, they're creating the money out of thin air, and the way they get this debt money into circulation is through mortgages. So this is why they're trying to convince everyone to jump in the game and buy real estate. You can't lose. And they're subsidizing the real estate market. And that's why we're seeing such uh, record-breaking gains in the real estate market, is because the government is subsidizing that industry with all of the new money they're creating out of thin air. So that's why we're seeing such exceptional gains. And so that, of course, people want to get a piece of that, but you have to ask yourself what you're investing in. And the reality is, right now, with prices the way they are, it's priced out an entire generation of new, younger individuals that want to create a life for themselves and for their family. And so no longer are they able to be a part of this system. With the average home price in Canada now $850,000, and you look at the average person needing a 20% down payment for that, 160,000 plus dollars just for your down payment. So that is going to take you a lifetime to save up in this current economic situation in Canada. So the way most Canadians are doing this is, they are taking out just um, insane amounts of debt to get into the market, and that's leaving them in a very vulnerable situation. And this is right where Empire wants you. They want you in a vulnerable situation where you need to rely on them for free money or for some kind of handout or some kind of support. They do not want you in a situation where you're resilient and able to take care of yourself and your own family. So that's why they want you taking out so much debt, so that basically you have to play their game, you have to follow their rules, and if you don't, they'll cut you off of the free money off of what's keeping you afloat, and then you'll be, out on the street. So the way to approach this, in my view, is to make sure you only invest what you can afford, and you want to invest with cash you have. There is ways to invest with debt, but debt is like a loaded gun. You really have to know what you're doing. It can be used for good, and it can be used to kill you. So you really have to be careful with debt, and you really got to know what you're doing. So, you have to make sure, if you're going to invest in real estate, that you know it's going to be cash flow positive after all your expenses. And very few people have the patience and the will to actually sit down and calculate all of those factors that come into buying real estate, and all of the fees and the maintenance cost and everything associated with owning a home. So that's something you want to keep in mind. And the reality is that this game of real estate and fake money and all that, it's a big Ponzi scheme. So what that means is you need newcomers to enter in at the bottom to sell to people that got in much earlier. And that's what keeps this scheme going, is new people coming in. So that's why the government, part of the reason why the government is opening the borders, and they're allowing in millions, or sorry, not millions, over 1 million immigrants they want to bring in the next couple of years here, because they need new people to come into the real estate market to keep prices going and find new victims to sign on to these mortgages. And a mortgage actually means death contract, the actual translation of mort, which is death, and gage, which is contract. So it's a death contract. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So the way the government's going, I just don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to be locked into a system in a state or a country that is exercising this much control and force and violence and slandering and attacking of its own peaceful people, that, the government is no longer obeying the will of the people. They're blatantly ignoring it and doing whatever they want. It's complete lawlessness, and it's end times, if you ask me. So it's very interesting. But those that are falling victim to these lies and this deceit and this, false God, which is the state, who claims to be the all-knowing authority, that, everyone's just outsourcing their idea of what is true and what matters to the state. They're outsourcing their health to the state. They're outsourcing their own free thought. They don't even have the will or the desire to contemplate stuff on their own with their own critical mind. They just outsource it to the state, and it really matters, what does the state say? How should I think today? So it's a very immature way of being, when you're no longer taking responsibility for your own decisions and your own actions. And my philosophy is, let's reside in truth in these times when everyone is falling prey to the lies, and it's become so obvious that the entire thing is a lie. It's right in front of your eyes. Even the official numbers of all the deaths that are happening, that they're fear mongering the public with, it's still less than the common flu. And they've shut down the entire economy, the whole world, all forcing us to wear masks and walk around so we can't even see the smiles on each other's face, and telling us that we shouldn't even see family, and it's breaking up families. And it's create the, suicides are on the rise, overdoses are on the rise, mental health is going parabolic. It's destroying our countries. It's destroying, people's belief in God and truth, and everyone's falling prey to it. So it's more important than ever that we stand in truth. And I don't want to support tyrannical governments that are, duping the entire public. And it's essentially a death cult. If you look at this thing, it is a death cult. They want everyone just slaves that don't think for themselves. They want everyone's equal. No one's better than anyone. They don't even want you, the most basic foundational truth of, when you're born, you're either born a man or a woman. They don't even want that out there. They want to blur the lines of everything. They say, gender is a choice. You're not even born a man or a woman. That's the most foundational truth there is. Truth is separate from our subjective belief or perception of what is true. Truth is a separate thing. We can believe whatever we want, but truth is separate from that. And they're trying to destroy truth, because that is the devil's work, to deceive us and get us believing in lies. And all of this thing is a lie. The whole real estate market, all the money printing, all of the debt, it's all built on lies, and it will crumble in the end. It's not built from truth. So I suggest that you explore other options, and you invest in something that feels true to you, something you want to see more of in the future, not a system that creates all of this inequality and disparity and people that are falling into bankruptcy because they can't even afford to keep up on their mortgage payments and all of the taxation. That's something else to keep in mind. When you own property, you really have no way of escaping. It's very illiquid. You're stuck in that investment, and it's very easy for the government just to come after you and tax you whatever amount they want because they know you'll do anything to hold on to that home. So then you're just a sitting victim that has no way around their extortion and their control and their tyrannical outstretch of power. So those are just some of my thoughts. I think it's very important when investing in stuff that we look at the foundations and what is behind that investment. What is it doing for people? Is it serving people? And yes, homes do serve a purpose, but when they're just knocking all of these people into record amounts of debt that they'll never be able to repay, that is not creating resilience in their life. It's creating a dependency on the state, and it's creating a new wage slave that will be forced to work every day of their waking life to try and repay those debts. Being in debt is not a good state of mind to be in. It makes you feel a lack of something. You want to feel prosperous in your life, and debt is not a way that we do that. So these are all things that I think you should contemplate and look at. And even the chart that shows the relationship between the average income in Canada and the cost of housing, they've completely separated, and the cost of housing chart is just way out of whack with how much Canadians are earning. So it goes to show that the only way this is happening is through people taking on record amounts of debt, and they're making a promise that they'll be able to pay this debt in the future when the future is very uncertain, especially in this current environment. So it's my opinion that we should remain more liquid in our investments, which offers us more power, more ability to act of free will and make our own choices. If we don't like what's going on here, we have the choice that we could leave the country and go somewhere else, somewhere that's offering us, something better for our life force energy and our time and everything that we put into the system. So Canada isn't offering much at this time, but it's very sad to see because it's a beautiful country. It's really resource rich. And I think that's why these globalist powers are coming after Canada. They want to get control of it because it is so resource rich. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you like this content, hit like on the video, share it with some friends or whatever. Helps me get the word out there. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day wherever you are. Take care. We'll see you in the next one.